Sensitize, and I am now welcoming you again to our show, Maritime Matters. Tonight, we shall engage discussions on a litany of local and international maritime challenges. Our topics should include, therefore, Gaza, Abaco Shanty town demolition, the Gaza Strip. What is next in line? We know that Superman is our very own Minister of Works, Clay Sweeting. I dub him as Superman because he has been doing super things. The Gaza, as we know it, is now almost complete, coming down. Right? House after house, structure after structure. I don't know if we can even call them house, but we see them, they look nice, but they're not built to building code specs. So, for that reason, among others, they will come down, right? So, Superman is in Gaza, which is off the LC Google Highway in Abaco. And when Gaza is finished, and we know Gaza is a serious time right now because we got the Gaza Strip having bombs every hour. They're getting ready for ceasefire. I trust that will happen soon. But we got Gaza in Abaco, structures coming down, and because of Superman, eh? And when Gaza is done, we are hearing from our Ministry of Works official, my good friend Greg Delancey, is saying to us, after Gaza, we have lined up the Gully, which is another good piece of area of SC Google Highway in the proximity of Gaza. That one may be a little bigger, so we can be pulling that down. And then, of course, we're going to move a little further north to the big dog, the farm. You see, the farm alone is probably about as big as the pigeon pea and the mud put together. Eh? So, our Superman is going to take us next to the Gully, and that will be followed by the farm. You see there, listener, when there are shanty towns, there lies ready facilitation for a Haitian migrant that lands in our country from the vessel that was sailing for 2 to 3 weeks on the high seas, and they got somewhere to run and hide when they make landing because the shanty towns are there to facilitate them. So they get into the shanty towns and they remain there until they become climatized, until they learn a little better speaking English, and until they're more comfortable with the surroundings. They know where this place is, they know where that place is, and then they start to come out and then they start to mesh and mingle into our local Bahamian society, and then after a while they basically just climatize. They're one of us, eh? They're one of us. Because they move around and then eventually they start to work. So it all starts from that ship at sea or that vessel at sea, and they're making that landing and they mesh into those shanty towns. But now we get those shanty towns are coming down, eh? And with good reason. With good reason, those shanty towns are coming down. And how long has it been? How long has it been? When those shanty towns were just spraying up all over the place. I mean, this is going on for decades. From the days of Minister Loftus-Roker. Now, Minister Loftus-Roker wasn't really dealing with shanty towns, because in those days, these fire areas was basically just bush. But now we got roads running all over New Province. And so the areas to the south near the sea, because when the vessels come in by sea, they make landing on the south side of the island. It is shallow, and many Bahamians live on the water side of the south side of the island. It's basically just a lot of bush. So they start to build homes, or should I say build structures in these bushy areas near to the water, and those structures merge into communities, and we call them shanty towns simply because they are built without regulations being applied. The homes, the structures are really not up to building code standards. So we regard them as shanty buildings or shoddy buildings. And of course we would then call them shanty towns because they just pop up in places where Bahamians don't really pay any attention, and then they just mushroom into larger and larger. And so we got it going on all over New Providence. We got it going on up in Abaco, in many areas of Abaco. We got it going on in some parts of Neutral. I don't know if there's any in Exuma. We know that there's none in Long Island, as my good friend, the company man, would say. Well, Long Island will tolerate that. They ain't coming here, we ain't want them here. Because if they land in Long Island, then they get caught, because they ain't get no shanty town to go and merge and mesh and become climatized into that society. Same thing with Crooked Island and Acklands, because there are so very little people in those places. They will stand out like a sore thumb. They have time to build no shanty towns. People ain't going to build nothing on the land, no way. But in New Providence, oh man, they didn't take over. So from our Minister Loftus Roker days, we were chasing them because we were trying to round them up and send them back home, the ones who were illegal, right? Which was a lot, but not compared to today. And there used to be, you see, I remember I was living in Royal Avenue, same area where my good buddy, the leader of our country, my Royal Avenuean pal, Prime Minister Philip Davis, he grew up in Royal Avenue as well. And in our area, we will have nights when the immigration officers bust up on the scene, and all you see is a scattering of black folks running through yards, and sometimes they get clothesline, and sometimes the immigration officer get clothesline. You know what I mean? Because the Haitian who the immigration officer chasing know where the clotheslines are, they duck while they're running. But the immigration officer, he know that area. So when he come by in the back door, a clothesline will come by his neck and whip him. He's on his back flat out. That's what you call a clothesline. That Haitians used to have them immigrations getting clothesline all the time. Hey, them immigration officers back then. But time has now come, because moving on from those days, we started to have the Haitian nationals move out into the areas, the bushy areas where none of us used to even go to, right? And eventually they just started to build structures and more structures. And of course they got their network going on, so the message got out, and now the whole country is full of shanty towns. And we know that those shanty towns are not built up the building code, and we know that those shanty towns are not built on the land of the owners. I mean, the owners didn't build them themselves. In some cases, it's government land or crown land, and they put shanty town on it. So up in Abaco, well, we've already had the Coolacre shanty town in Nassau demolished. Then we had the All Saints Way, I think is the name of that street off Carmichael Road. That was demolished, and I understand there's some others in that vicinity that need to come down. And then we had the one just heading for Coral Harbor. I think they call that Lot 52 or whatever they dubbed that as. That came down, and I'm sure at some point Superman is going to return to Nassau with that demolition team, and they're going to be taking down, because just know that we have a lot in Nassau, I understand that on one time they counted it was over 40 shanty towns alone in Nassau. And it was said at that time that the government immigration department knew where every single one of those were. And I have no doubt that today, with all the drones we could put up and all the information we could source, we know where they are now. Right? So they mentioned our Bahamian society that way. So for this and other reasons, it is important that the Bahamas strike out this form of facilitation. Furthermore, the structures are constructed contrary to our building regulations and on land that does not. I might sound like I repeat myself, but you can't say this more. I'm too much. Now, recently, like, must have been about 3 weeks ago, I saw personally, when I went on the streets around 6 o'clock, 6:30, I saw in certain areas of Nassau gunmen in green. And what is gunmen in green? Green, that's the immigration officers' colors, right? They had on their immigration uniform and they was carrying weapons. I didn't see no defense force officers. I didn't see no police officers. But they had a good group of immigration officers carrying weapons. And they were there from before 6 o'clock. Because those Haitians who live in the shanty towns along that strip, and we talking the Cowpen Road strip, eh? They come out early in the morning, you see them merging on the Cowpen Road to catch bus, or for the truck to come pick them up and take them. They going to work. They ain't coming in the Bahamas and they're sitting back and ain't working. Just about all them is work. And they just make money and they send money home. I have no problems with that. Because if I was in that position, I would have tried to do the same thing. But we have laws. And we have officers that are charged to enforce our laws. And in this case, the gunmen in green were out in big numbers. And I say kudos to Minister Alfred Sayers, who now holds the portfolio with the responsibility of the immigration department and enforcing the laws in the Immigration Act and any other law affiliated with the immigration department, right? So he and his team, they were there. And I have to give him kudos for that initiative. But to what end are we putting them out there 6 o'clock in the morning? What is going to really be achieved? If we catch them, then we're responsible for accommodating them, eh? No? Yes! We gotta put them in a detention center in the prison or someplace where we gotta feed them and take care of them. So, why do we need a detention center in this day and time? We have a detention center for when we capture them, we got someplace to put them. But why do we need to capture them? Why do we need to maintain and keep them? Well, I don't, in my opinion, and I dare say, we do not need a detention center. We do not need to go chasing them 6 o'clock in the morning. We do not need to have them causing immigration officers getting clothesline every here and there. Right? Why we do not need it? What we really need is to ensure that even if they are here, they are not allowed to be illegally employed. So instead of doing the junction on Cowpen Road, instead of going in areas like shanty towns and chasing them, no, leave them alone, let the people live. What we should focus on is those same gunmen in green, along with officers from the Labor Department, along with defense force and police officers. They need to conduct sting exercises at these various job sites where we know these folks work illegally. And we ain't getting them to chase them now. Why do we want the gunmen in green to go to work establishments? The places like, well, you know what the places are, man. Come on. Some of them driving jitney, driving taxi, they work at driving tour boats. They work the hour key, the porter's key, food stores, bars, gas stations, they're all over the place. Let's go to these job sites and put the pressure on the employers. We don't need to worry with them. I want them to do what they have to do. But the employers, the people employing them are getting away scot-free. They're violating our law and getting away scot-free. Let's focus on what can work. We don't need no detention center. We don't need to worry with shanty towns. We don't need to worry with those boats bringing but of course we need to be concerned after the jail got broke open and a couple of them there. We want them here, right? But what we need to focus on, my dear listener, is those persons, those entities that employ these illegal migrants. And don't tell me they got a work permit. Don't tell me they got work permit, because we know that there is a government policy in place. And when I say government policy, I'm not talking about administration of government, no PLP, FNM, COI, DNA. No, it ain't none of their policy. It's the country's government policy. This was put in place decades ago. So any government in power supposed to uphold this policy, like every other government policy. And what does the policy state? The policy say only Bahamians can be employed in certain areas of work. And they listed area, construction. Most construction sites we go around this island and see illegal, or should I say non-Bahamians employed. Even if it's around someone's house. Big construction sites all the way out west. Like the area. You see the truck in the morning going with loads and loads of illegal workers. Where you think they're going? They're going to work. So, if there's a policy that the construction, you shouldn't have anybody other than Bahamians working in construction, that would mean, my friend, to me, that the immigration department is not in a position to issue a work permit for construction. Because if you had a Bahamian citizen, the policy say you shouldn't do construction. So nobody can mean that they have a work permit. No, they may have a work permit, but that will not be for construction, eh? Allow them their work permit to be gardeners. And when you get a work permit to be a gardener, you're specific to somebody's property. Because you can be no commercial gardener. Right? Because, again, you cannot work in the landscaping industry according to this government policy. You cannot get a work permit to do landscaping. And they say, they're doing landscaping, they keeping the grass, manicure, they plant trees. But you check most of these construction companies in this country, landscaping companies, they get a whole heap of non-Bahamians. And so, the employers are breaking I wouldn't call it law, because it's a policy. But if the government has a policy to say, Bahamians only can work in landscaping, and then you see a foreigner working in landscaping, that means that foreigner does not have a work permit, because the government is not going to violate its own policy and issue a work permit for somebody to do landscaping, right? So the owner is responsible. The employer is responsible, because you know what I know. The employer wants to pay at least as he or she possibly can to make a bigger profit. The kind of money they want to pay to these undocumented migrants, they know they're not going to be able to pay payment, because payment can't survive off that kind of money. Being realistic now. We know everything in our country expensive. We go to the food store. Oh, you can pay me $250 a day to go to the food store. I mean, we got a lot of things to look at. But, excuse me, but we got to look at the shanty towns. We got to look at the boats coming in. We got to look at the employers that are employing these people to cause them to be able to live here and work. Because I can assure you, if those migrants if they're not allowed to work in this country, they will get out of here in record time. We would not need to pay for Bahamas to take them home. They will find their way over. And then we get home. I'm going to get our problem. We need to enforce our laws that are on the, but people are going to make no laws. Now, one law we got to make. One law we need to make. I read the Immigration Act a couple of months ago, just to satisfy myself. And there is a section there saying that employers are not to employ non-Bahamians without the requisite work permit. But you know what it doesn't do? It doesn't say what we will do with that employer who does that. Excuse me. So we have the penalty, we have the law say they are supposed to hire these people, but the law doesn't say what the penalty will be when they hire them. So Mr. Sears, or should I say Minister Sears, and our Superman, Minister Police Meeting, and our Minister responsible for laws, that's our Attorney General, and all the Cabinet. Let's make it a priority, please. Make it a priority that any individual who employs an undocumented worker gets at least, I want to say 2 years in jail. I'll put him in jail for 1 day. And you'll see the big thing, nobody can employ them no more. 1 day in Foxhill Prison. And you fine them $10,000 a time. Hey, I'm a law person. I know much about law. That may not be, what they call it, reasonable. But even if it's a fine them $10, let's fine them and they will be faced with jail. We really want jail for 1 day. Because when you start jailing them for 1 day, you'll find that there's a hands-off approach when it comes to hiring foreigners in this country in areas that the government policy state that is reserved for Bahamians. What are those areas? Construction field, public transportation, jitneys, taxis, tour boats, any kind of public transportation should be Bahamians, citizens only. Somebody that has citizenship in the Bahamas, not somebody who's a resident because they got married, or somebody have a spousal permit because they got married. No! A citizen is none of those things. A citizen means your parents, either your mother is a single parent and she had you anywhere in the world, you're a Bahamian. Your mother and father are married and both of them are Bahamians. That's a genuine, there's another word. What word they use it? But I can't remember. But you know, I was listening to what talks too now. They use this, what, genuine Bahamian? Ain't genuine, what they call it? Natural Bahamian? Something they call it. Somebody have me later on and give me a call, right? But if you're not one of those kind of Bahamians, genuine Bahamians, you should not be working in construction. You should not be working in public transportation. You should not be doing landscaping anywhere, not even for your neighbor, not for your money. You should not be able to work in wholesale and retail operations. And what is wholesale and retail operations? You go to Iraqi in any one of those stores. They should be Bahamians only in the kitchen, doing serving, doing conch salad, doing whatever. That's retail operations. Porter's Key, same thing. Someone tell me that it is hard to find Bahamians working in those stores because they basically don't even want Bahamians to do no more. They want the undocumented, the people who cannot get a work permit to be working in those stores. I tell you that. They cannot get a work permit to work as a cook, to work as a server, because those areas are reserved for Bahamians. Check your food stores. See how many non-Bahamians, people who does not have a passport that say they are Bahamian. Check your gas stations. They're everywhere. That ain't no secret. Never was a secret. Never will be a secret, eh? So, ladies and gentlemen, to our gunmen in green, we need to get to those workplaces, to our cabinet and our members of parliament. We need to put some teeth in our Immigration Act so that the employer can be penalized. 1 day in jail, that's all I ask. 1 day in jail. And we will see this country shape up. These employers will start paying Bahamians the proper amount of money to do those jobs and stop taking advantage of cheap labor. Same thing with all those boats on Port Ski, all those mail boats and fishing, right? Security services. Do we know that many of our cruise ship private island port facilities are headed by foreigners? Not just me, most of them. And I happen to know this because that's the area I work in. So most of the cruise ship private islands, the person in charge of security is supposed to be the port facility security officer. Now I run a port facility security officer course on an annual basis. So you can't tell me we don't have enough Bahamians to do that job. But it's just that they don't want Bahamians to be doing the job on their private ports. And I can't blame them. Because if I was a cruise ship owner, I might want the people of that. I might want to use some of the people in my system, because I already pay them and I can pay them less and all the rest of that. But the top job on those private islands for security is the port facility security. Because the officer is responsible for ensuring that all the international compliance are being met, right? And that area is governed by what we call an ISPS compliance unit. Sitting, their office is in the port department, because the port department is responsible for all port facilities in the Bahamas that receive international ships from security perspective. So the port department, by law of that compliance unit, is responsible for ensuring that all of these private islands, all of the ports in Nassau, Freeport, even Morton in Inagua, Bimini, Ochi, all of them have the proper system set up for security in accordance with the ISPS code, and that all of them have a qualified port facility security officer. So they go and they check on an annual basis. As a matter of fact, they're now checking on quarterly basis, eh? They're checking on quarterly basis to see that these compliance are met. But you know what they aren't checking for, what they are not checking for? They are not checking when they go to these private islands to make sure that person who the private island produces, that port facility security officer, has a work permit to be a security port facility security or to do security, because they cannot get such a work permit. Because the government policy says security services are reserved for Bahamians. So they can't even tell you they check and these places get permit, because it ain't true. It cannot happen. So I put it to the ISPS compliance unit, and I put it to the port department, who's known as the designated authority for this country, to ensure that every single person working on those facilities, whether it be the port facility security officer or the security officer working under the port facility security officer, are all Bahamians. Are all Bahamians. Because some of them even got a deputy for them. And I spell it out because I didn't bring it up and ain't nobody doing nothing about it. And I ain't never scared to bring it up again. So you better get it right. So there you go. Even in security. And of late people, there's an announcement that people at Atlantis anticipate replacing the top security job, which is Senior Vice President of Security. They're falling out. Now this is a job. See, I can run out the other day. Well, I must sit down. I don't know. This is the job that, as I recall, when I was a deputy port controller, I was invited over to Atlantis because, you know, they used to have a lot of issues in that area with jet skis and motorized equipment, and Atlantis want to get a grip on this. So the late great Basil Dean invited me to Atlantis. He said, Captain, we knew each other from us on the Defense Force as a senior officer because we had games, Defense Force Police. He was a part of that contingency that negotiated the games, and I was a part of the Defense Force. So I got to know Brother Basil Dane, Paul Fox, and I got to know them very well. We knew each other very well. And he called me, I was the deputy port controller. He said, yeah, man, I need you to come over because, you know, I want us to sit down and discuss how we go get these jet ski fellas to behave. And I can tell you, while I was at the port department as deputy port controller, every single jet ski operator knew Glendale because I wasn't playing around with them. You see, I wasn't the type of government employee who you would put in a corner because you bribe me. I ain't taking a bribe from nobody, right? I get the job done, and you got to shape up. So I went over and Brother Basil Dane took me around in Kaya Hotel, and the next year I was even considering calling up Brother Dane and asking him if I could be a part of the system, because I was trying to get out of the government, to tell you the truth, right? But I didn't do it because I wanted to stick with Maritime, and I stick with Maritime. I did get out. But Basil Dane was there. He started up with Atlantis, when Atlantis was restructured and they came out with the Royal Tower and that type of thing. It was Basil Dane, I think he was Assistant Commissioner of Police when he got that job. Either Assistant Commissioner of Police or Chief Superintendent, but he had plenty rank, right? And he was the one that started that up. And then, of course, Mr. Douglas Anna came in, and then eventually was his deputy, right? And Mr. Douglas Anna again, he was in a high echelon. He was also assistant commissioner or chief superintendent, something way up there, right? And he took over when Basil Dane passed away because he got cancer. Brother Douglas Hanna took over, and he currently is the vice president of security, and everybody working under him are Bahamians. And everybody working under Basil Dane were Bahamians. And you can go throughout this country on every single facility, hotel, site, Bahamians. So how come all of a sudden we don't have a Bahamian qualified to do that job? Because according to the law, I don't think you can bring in a foreigner to do a job that a Bahamian can do. In addition, what you tell me, the people who are deputizing Mr. Douglas Hanna is now going to have to deputize this person and not even work in the system in Atlantis and security? And the person that brings in, you know, real security, this person dealing with nuclear weapons and stuff like that. People, we joking? How you can tell me, after all these decades of Bahamians being in charge of security in hotels, all of a sudden, we need to bring in a foreigner to do that job? And you gotta be saying we ain't got no Bahamian who qualified to do it. Does this new proposed Vice President of Security for Atlantis have a work permit to do security in this country. No, we can't have it. Because security is an area that is reserved for Bahamians. So I ain't hearing nobody talking about, yeah man, he gotta, no, what does he have that? The whole entire police force, the whole entire defense force, the whole entire prison system. Nobody qualified to do this job. The fellas who there now, none of them qualified to do this job. What kind of nonsense is this? No. This gotta fix. And all those port facilities that have foreign PFSOs and DPFSOs and security officers, everybody working anywhere, and I ain't taking a bit further. This is a maritime show, so let's talk maritime. You have a situation where all of the jet skis on those private islands belong to non-Bahamians, they belong to the cruise ship entity. All the non-motorized equipment, snorkeling, all of this stuff. Again, that is the transportation, public transportation area, yeah? And if they want those services provided, they need to get a Bahamian to come in. If we could have Bahamians provide jet ski services for Atlantis, jet ski services for Bahamas. Do we have any jet ski services for what the next one named down south? We might have one for them too. Then there's no way in the world you can tell me, and this from us, Deputy Port Controller, I found this out, you know. And I question it. Why is it that you don't have Bahamians taking over these areas? Why? And they got the foreigners actually working, taking care of jet skis, and Bahamians can't do that. What Brayman Ferguson to say? Every time Brayman call, he to say, we need justice, law, and order in this country. And you know how powerful that is, Brayman? Yes, we need justice, law, and order in this country. We can't live in the shanty towns. Now, when are we going to move to stopping these sorry sufferers from being employed in this country without the requisite work permit? And in most cases, we know they can't even get it. The security industry. I think all these industries are being violated. I was on my good friend Marlon Johnson's show one time, and this subject came up. And I said to Marlon, they got areas reserved for payments. He said, what areas reserved for payment? And I didn't really get what he was saying to me. Right? He was trying to tell me that may be on paper. But foreigners in all of these areas, undocumented people in some cases, certainly non-Bahamian people. Yes, we gotta fix this country. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I said enough for now. I'm going to run to a quick break. And when I return, we're going to address the boaters fishing effluent in our waters. Oh, that's a big topic there. You know, those boats are there, they're dumping all kind of sewage straight into the sea. I don't know if we can follow the Red Sea dilemma tonight, but certainly we could touch upon the BPL alternative energy sources. Now we know they talk in the press a lot about BPL might be sold and this and that. No, we do it. BPL is going to be changing very soon and very rapidly. There might be no more what's the engine and this and that and the next, you know. But we'll pick that up. Man, an hour almost gone already. Man, look at that. This can't be so. Can't go on that fast. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to run to our first break, and when we return, the lines are going to be open, and you'll be able to call in, because I think I done ran hot enough. Let me hear what you have to say about all this stuff going on in our country, eh? You'll be able to call in. The number to call would be 326-8255, right? 326-8255. So you can write that number down, 326-8255. And that's the number you'll be able to reach us on when we return after the break. Thank you very much.
At One-on-One Pharmacy, our friendly staff is ready to serve you. Visit us today for all your prescription and over-the-counter needs at our East Street South or Charles Saunders Highway locations. We're open Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and from 9 to 4 on Sundays. In a rush? Send your refill scripts online at oneononepharmacy.com or ask about our convenient pickup service. One-on-One Pharmacy, providing personal health care with people at heart. At Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited, we offer first-class maritime security services throughout the Bahamas and the wider Caribbean. As experts in maritime security, we specialize in production of ISPS assessments and plans, verification audits, certified familiarization training, and port security consultancy, just to name a few. Our services also include provision of a security force to maintain all required ISPS facility security compliance. For all your maritime security needs, visit us today in Nassau at our East Street South location or in Freeport in the Kipling Building. Call us at 392-3515 or follow us on all social media platforms. Bahamas Maritime Connection, your leader in maritime security. Let's help you make the connection.
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in, then I'll watch them roll away again. Yeah. I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Just sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. I left my home in Georgia, headed for the Frisco Bay. I've had nothing to live for, look like nothing's gonna come my way. So I'm just gonna sit on the dock of the bay, watching the
Ladies and
tide.
gentlemen, welcome back to Maritime Matters. As you heard, our sponsors are Bahamas Maritime Connection, One-on-One Pharmacy, and in Freeport they got a branch, Island Care Pharmacy. We're also sponsored by the Bimini Pilots and the GBI Pilots. They are the ones that keep this show running. And of course, if you want to be a part of our sponsorship, we welcome you. You can give us a call, 392-3514, Bahamas Maritime Connection Office, and we will be happy and appreciative of your sponsorship. Now, let's get back to the topic, because I feel like I was running a little hot, and I just had a good friend of mine give me a call and reminded me of that word that I was searching for. That word, organic Bahamian. Like I was saying, we were looking for, I was searching hard, I couldn't remember organic Bahamian, but yes, organic Bahamian. We're talking about all kind of things tonight. We're talking about the shanty towns and how the Ministry of Works, spearheaded by Minister Clay Speeding, and of course my good friend Mr. Craig Delancey, are on the move on the Gaza Strip in Abaco. And how they have lined up, following the Gaza, two other migrant communities that are not built up to builders code, the farm and the gully. They're going to move on to those two next. We know that they've taken care of the shanty towns, a couple of them in Nassau, Cool Acres, that one named All Saints Way, and then they had Lot 52 heading up there for Coral Harbor. We talk about how the men in green, immigration officers, I dubbed them gunmen in green because they were toting weapons 6 o'clock in the morning. And how instead of going on the streets and trying to stop these people from getting out and going to wherever they go, let's do some sting operations and put pressure on the employers. Let's get a law in place in the Immigration Act to go beyond just employers should not employ people without the requisite work permit if they are not organic Bahamians. You want to take that a step further and say the employer that does that will be faced with 1 day in jail. Why you go to Foxhill for 1 day? You ain't afforded that no more. And guess what? If the other set see you go to Foxhill for 1 day, they will cut them loose. So, Mr. Government, my word to you is we are focusing on the wrong thing because our law, and you don't need to go to no what do you call it? This ain't no constitutional matter. This in the act you could do this. You could do this in act of parliament. Cause anybody you employ anybody else illegally, in other words, they're not Bahamians and they do not have the requisite work permit for that task, then you would be faced with 1 day in jail. I even know where you find them. Just give them 1 day in jail on every count. And then our country will be cleaned up. Because you know what's going to happen as a result? Those good folks we talk about are migrant brothers and sisters. And that's what they are, brothers and sisters. They ain't no different from us. They will seek to relocate to somewhere where they can actually work and provide funding, monies to send home. Because we know Haiti is a mess, and I ain't trying to say send them to Haiti. I don't even want us to send them to Haiti. I don't even want Bahamas there to be doing no. And I don't want anything to do with this country having no detention center. No. We don't need no detention center if we control employment. And that does not only go for nationals from Haiti. We got nationals from all over the place. Singapore, not Singapore, I take that back. Philippines, right? They come in here to work in big time homes out west. You think Bahamians can't do those jobs? We can do it in a hotel, but we can't do it in these people's house. Come on, man, we ain't what? No. Those employers got to get a day in jail too, because you already say wholesale and retail operations and that type of thing. And I'm sure I could find something there that says like housekeeping. You got people come in your country and do housekeeping. Where a Bahamian could go anywhere in the world and take on a housekeeping job, and they're Bahamian citizens. Ain't nobody gonna allow you to come in their country and do no housekeeping or babysitting. And we got a whole BTVI. If it's necessary, if it becomes necessary, that BTVI put on courses. The certified people in housekeeping, the certified people in babysitting. Then you tell me Bahamians can't certify? Let me tell you something. There is no area on the book that Bahamians are not capable of qualifying. We as a group are smarter than most of those countries and have people that are doing them kind of work. We ain't no dummies. Well, our parents and grandparents may not have had opportunity to go to school, but they wasn't no dummies. They were still very smart people. So, we talk in English. These jobs in the Bahamas, whatever certification they need us to get, because these people coming in, and the only certification most of them have is the country they come from, for them to get these jobs. They ain't getting no paper saying they can do, and plus they ain't gonna have no work permit, or they shouldn't have no work permit to do them kind of things. If you got Bahamians who could do those jobs, why we gotta get them work permit to come in our country and do those things? And a lot of Bahamian women sitting home wondering when they can find a job. What Bremen Darling Ferguson to say? We need law, justice, law, and order in this country. That's what we need. So our government policy says no non-Bahamians. Only Bahamians should be in construction, in public transportation, the jitneys, the taxis, the door boats, etc., the landscaping, the wholesale and retail operations, gas stations, food stores, bars. Come on, man. Arawaki and Porter's Key. Why we need to have non-Bahamians working in those areas? They can't get a work permit to work out there, so let's get it on. Let's get it fixed. Men in green, you all know where to go. Go to those areas. Check work permits. Because y'all ain't gonna issue none. And y'all are responsible for that. And make sure those employers are penalized. Let's fix this country. We talk about the private islands, the cruise ship private islands, having people responsible for providing jet ski services, parasail, non-motorized equipment. No, they're supposed to be Bahamian companies owning those things and regulating those things. We don't have no problem with the cruise ship coming in and bringing the people, but don't wait on the key doing jobs that Bahamians capable of doing, and you cannot even get a work permit for. No, we can't let the cruise ship violate us to that extent. On their ship, they do what they want to do. On land, we get laws. And we expect those cruise ships to comply with our laws. And we got the port department will go in these areas, licensing these equipment every year after year, and not realizing, does the Port Authority Board approve the licensing of these things? Does the chairman and members of the Port Authority Board know that these areas are reserved for Bahamians? And that these people who own these equipment are non-Bahamians? And they don't have no work permit to be working in these areas? Because those are the ones who are approving these applications, along with the workers in the port department. No, it needs to fix. Let's get it on. Again, if you want to know this conversation, number to call, 326-8255. I didn't call on the line yet. So you know me, I can keep talking. Y'all ain't calling, I can talk anyhow. So if y'all think because y'all ain't call, I ain't gonna talk, you're wasting your time. I got plenty to say, and I know I can run out of time again tonight, but that's the order of the day. I don't have no problem running out of time because there's so much things wrong in this country. We just got to bring it out. We got to fix these things. We talk about Atlantis wanting to bring in a foreigner to be overall in charge of security. And we say security is an area reserved for Bahamians only. And you can tell me we got all these retired police, all these present police, all these retired and present Defense Force persons, and the people in the hotels now. Did you even put that job out there for people to apply for? Because I can do that job. Well, I ain't gonna leave my company to do that job for y'all, but I just said plenty like me. Anyway, let's go to the boaters flushing effluent in our waters, right? Got a good clip out of the dailies. Speaking to vessels in Nassau Harbor polluting the harbor. And recently, an accumulation of sailing yachts have heaped up along East Bay off Montague shores. You go around Montague and you come around a curve, and then you go to where the Montague, the area where you buy your grouper and crawfish and all them things. What do you call it? Along Montague shores anyway. And you look beyond that. See all heap of sail yachts and other kind of yachts. They never used to be there before. We used to have a couple little small skiffs in there, but certainly not those yachts. And
I assume they go in there now because they're trying to just save money by dropping a hook. First of all, the anchor is damaging our reef, damaging our seabed. Second of all, and this is the real one, right? Every time, most of them flush their toilets, empty their kitchen drain from washing dishes, shower, all the drainage that happens on every single one of those boats drains directly into the sea. So our good people swimming out there on Montague Beach, and the tide coming your way, and you see some funny color in the water. You don't have to wonder what that is, you know. That is when the people flush their drains on those yachts. So in my opinion, they shouldn't even be allowed to anchor off a beach. Yes, you go in deserted, foul areas and drop your anchor. And usually you want to drop your anchor where sand is, so you don't be damaging no reef. And that's another thing we need to do. In our harbor, we need to put down moorings. And the moorings got to be approved as indicated in the Port Authorities Act by the Port Authority Board. Excuse me, not even by the Port Controller, because he don't have no powers. Under the Port Authorities Act, where moorings go and all that's supposed to be done by way of the chairman, deputy chairman, and members of the Port Authority Board. Once that Port Authority Board says so-and-so could put mooring buoys in this area for rent, this one could put a mooring buoy over there for his own private boat, that's how it's supposed to be. People shouldn't be able to come in here and just drop their hook on our seabed anywhere they want to. Let's get this thing organized. Let's fix this country. Let's fix our harbor. And to think that beyond that Montague area, we also have Porter's Key. Porter's Key, I don't think you'll find one boat at Porter's Key that have a holding tank that is used for when they discharging or they flushing or they for the toilets, the kitchen sinks, the showers and the bathrooms and face bowl. Those things go straight in the sea. And thank heavens, we have a harbor that flushes itself. What I mean by flushes itself, we have a harbor that when the tide going one way, the water racing to the east. That's when tide coming in or tide flooding. All the water coming in through the lighthouse area, and they going straight along Paradise Island until they come out through Arthur Island and go straight up by what I like name up there. I getting a little dull on Poggy Rock Lake, right? Straight out to Poggy Rock area. And when the tide change, and that happens twice a day. When the tide change, you have the water coming the next way. So it's coming from Poggy Rocks and Arthur Island and Cut and all that, and it's coming through, passing Porter's Key and Prince George Wharf and going back out through by the lighthouse, the harbor entrance. So that happens 2 times every day. And for that reason, whatever goes into the water is normally flush with that current. Because the current rather strong, eh? So we have a flushing harbor, because if our harbor didn't flush, if our harbor was stagnant, like in areas like Marsh Harbor and things like that, we would not be able to breathe properly on Bay Street. Right? So all those boats at Porter's Key, when they flush, it goes into the sea. All those yachts anchored at Montague, all of those boats, let's say 90%, right, of those boats are smaller boats in the marine, not the big ones. Most of them have holding tanks, but now do they use those holding tanks to have trucks come and discharge their stuff on a routine basis when they in harbor in Nassau? I don't know. Some will argue that they do. Okay, so we're talking about the small ones who don't have holding tanks. How are we going to address that? We now need to put something in law? I don't know. Because a lot of them might be private yachts too that are in these marinas. Well, most of the little private boats, they ain't got no bathrooms, eh? We're talking about the yachts, the ones that have a couple bathrooms on them and the mail boats and stuff like that. We need to fix that. You got a call on the line? Caller giving me a break. Good night, caller. Welcome to Maritime Matters.
Yes, Mr. Bain, how are you, sir?
Top shape and getting better, my friend. How are you?
I cannot remember if I did wish you and your family Happy New Year, but if I did not, I want to say Happy New Year to you, and I want to wish you good health and your family prosperity.
I thank you so much, Dr. P. I thank you so much, and likewise, man. I wish you all the best. No, I don't think we spoke yet for the year.
Yes. I am also concerned about these issues that you raise. I don't know. It's so many things that going on in our country. We really have to, I don't know, we as citizens, who love this Bahamas, we have to really pay attention to as to what's going on.
Yeah, we're allowing people to come and violate us, and our government is party to it. In many cases, they not raising, lifting their fingers to make sure things going right.
Yes, I have been watching those cruises in Montego Bay. It's unusual to see how many of those are now anchored in Montego Bay, and I love sloop sailing. I don't know. This becoming a norm up there now. I also have that concern that you have in terms of executing their garbage. It's a major concern that we have, and we need to step up our game and be even more vigilant as to what's going on in our country.
Yeah, man. You can imagine you go on Montego Beach to take a dip, and a lot of people go there every day to take a dip. I used to go there. I can tell you, and a lot of elderly people go on Montego Beach just to take a dip in the mornings.
Yes, and you could imagine the conch poison and the fish.
Ah.
That's amazing. Well, my one of my greatest pet peeves is health. We have to be very now vigilant, and be concerned as to really what's going on in terms of our country. Who really is in charge of that area?
That comes under the Port Authority Board, the Port Department and the Port Authority Board and the Ministry of Transport. They're the ones who say where vessels could anchor. They're the ones who say where moorings could be put. They're the ones who. So they. But again, even despite that area, you got the whole of Porter's Key, and all those marinas with the same situation going on.
Very much so. Very much so.
So I don't know if we just need to focus on that area as opposed to putting regulations in place to address the overall impact that you cannot discharge any type sewage from your vessel.
Yes, because they should have some, have some way in terms of executing their garbage. They need to address those situations like today.
That's right, because if you think about the U.S. waters and Europe, in harbors, they're not going to allow them to do those things.
Yes.
And
very much. Thank you very much for entertaining me. I want to make my contribution as a Bahamian citizen.
I thank you so much for calling, my friend, and it's always good to hear you, man. Take care of yourself.
God bless you too.
Roger. Dr. P himself. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have to do something about these things in our country. It's just so much going on for us to deal with. And usually it's the authorities who are not even proposing adjustments to address these things. It shouldn't have to come from talk shows. When I worked with government, I found, and it's no different from everybody else, right? But I found ways to enforce what was on the books. And when things were not on the books, I raised the alarm. Because you can't do your job if you don't have it on the books. So, we got minutes left? I think we got to take our second break. And when we return, we coming back to deal with the BPL. Oh, we got a call on the line? Well, you take no break until we take your call. Call you on Maritime Matters. Hello.
Good evening, Captain Brain. This is Captain Brain.
Captain Brain, my friend. How are you, sir?
Man, look here, I am in top shape, and you are absolutely right on point today. I'm very intrigued with the show and all the topics that you will have raised.
Oh yeah, we have to fix this country, man. There's so much going on that needs to be fixed, and in most cases by the authorities. These things are already on the books.
One of the things when you think about, and I'm going to limit my contribution to certain key areas that I want to elaborate on. Like for example, Portuguese. Do you know? Are you aware that on Portuguese there is a budding a shanty town?
On Portuguese they have a shanty town budding?
Portuguese.
You mean on the dock itself?
On the dock itself.
You mean in some of those containers?
No, on the dock itself. It's right opposite. Well, first of all, when you go on Portuguese, right opposite the police station, there's a vehicle. There's a vehicle a junkyard where they strip vehicles right opposite the police station there. And then when you make a left to go west, there's an shanty town in the back there, and we have a lot of vessels that are cargo vessels that take freight. They never leave Portuguese. I never see them leave Portuguese.
But they take freight?
Go in the back there. That is strictly a shanty town. The conditions, the environmental conditions, the oil and everything. It's an absolute mess.
But is this the area due west of the old fisheries complex?
Oh, indeed. That's the area north of the fisheries of the produce exchange. Yeah, it's due west of the
fishery complex.
The farm and feed store, and it's if you headed north before you make the right to go around the police station, you make a left.
Oh, you mean in that pocket area there where
Mark
and them used to be?
No, it's a budding a shanty town, and
wow.
I'm telling you, it's the same type of attention that we place on the other shanty towns around Abaco and everywhere else. We need to make sure that we don't leave that one out because that's growing fast. We all are aware that commercial trade between New Providence and Haiti is not allowed, is not permitted.
No, they got to go to Inagua.
Exactly. And so this taking on a freight and delivering garbage in the back there, that's something that definitely have to be addressed expeditiously because we have a growing problem there right under our noses.
Have you ever been to Portuguese Dock, Brother Brain, on a Monday morning between like 9 and 12? I mean, anytime recently. You could hardly move.
You can't get on Portuguese Dock around that time. That's when they mail boats.
So why is that? Why is that? Portuguese has not outgrown what it does. I think the primary reason for that is because they got so much containers stored on that dock that shouldn't be there. They got officers out there that shouldn't be there. And we had this discussion before when we said that every operator should have his operation over the hill, and the only thing he come out to Portuguese for is to bring his containers to roll on or roll off.
Exactly, but more importantly, Portuguese Dock, and I want to go on record. Portuguese Dock, really and truly, in terms of the organization, has become a real dump. We have like if you go to I challenge anyone to prove me wrong. All right, when you go to the left, go to the west.
You mean to what?
It's unorganized chaos everywhere around the fast ferry. There's pure containers everywhere.
Yeah, containers actually lining the road, the pathway for you to drive. You got to be driving between containers.
Are you also aware that you have people live on Portuguese? There are some houses there and when you pass, like the mail boat on the way out, coming back out, there's a piece of real estate, a huge piece of real estate to the north that canalizes you. And I saw some housing type facility in the back there. I'm not sure who would either leasing that or whatever. And then when you go to the east, There are people change old oil in the 55-gallon drums, all the vessels there, and that old oil, particularly in the east where the vessels are sunk at the extreme eastern corner.
Yeah. It's still there. It didn't have the vessel is still sunken. It's still there. I saw it yesterday.
But there's old oil, 55-gallon oil drums where the oil is actually, and anyone who have eyes can see, actually going into the marine environment.
Wow.
There's no, I am flabbergasted because I said, how can we sit back as Bahamians and as a country and we desecrate the marine environment the way we do with Port of Ski Dock? It's simply you have people doing container repairs. You have a shipyard at Port of Ski. You have a Shanty town. You have oil seepage into the marine environment. Every mailboat pumps out their bilge, and the bilge water, which consists of oil and water residue, goes directly into the marine environment. You have people pouring. There's no grease trap. People pouring all the cooking oil directly into the sea. And it's just a total mess.
Do you think the Minister of Transport or the PS of Transport, the port controller, deputy port controllers, assistant port controllers, dock masters, you think they stay aware of all this stuff?
I think they are, but we have a broken system, in my opinion, with these boards, these port authority boards, and the fact that the boards aren't working because we've a system where I'm not sure if the board members are aware of what the actual regulations are that govern these areas and govern discharge and the like. But we have a fundamental problem where the boards aren't really working because they don't have people on the boards who know about the maritime industry and know about these regulations to be able to make put in place requisite enforcement measures.
Yeah, but we have technocrats in the departments that's supposed to be advising and giving recommendations, and based on what they see because the boards don't be out there daily. The boards don't be out there weekly. The boards don't go there at all. They only have meetings. The people who are out there that's supposed to be ensuring that these things are regulated are not doing it.
Oh, of course not. Of course not. They're not.
And we need them to do. And the only way they could do it is if the minister, who is overall responsible according to the act, causes them to do it.
And there, taste the soup. Therein lies the issue. We have we are dysfunctional to a large degree, and we need, like you said, we have a lot of things to fix. I don't like to sound like a pessimist, but I don't know, man. We have a lot of work to do. I don't know how we're going to get there, but I just hope to God that we, as Bahamians, we wake up and we say the Bahamas is for Bahamians first, and we're going to fix our country.
I got a question for you, Brother Brain. Now, you know you as this country's very first ISPS coordinator.
That is correct.
What's going on with these private islands employing non-Bahamians to be PFSOs and security personnel?
Well, it's very simple. If you're allowed to get away with something that's unlawful or illegal and nobody challenges it, nobody says anything to you, you will continue to do something that's unlawful and wrong. When I was ISPS coordinator, we had no foreigners working within the security sphere on facilities and the like, right? But this is something that has slowly been able to creep into the security realm because these private islands are they are kind of outliers, if for want of a better phrase. They are places that no one sees every day. Yes, they have visits and from the port department, but apparently, like you would have indicated earlier, those things are not being looked at, and and now that we have now that there's a light that you have shined on this issue, maybe somebody in authority who has the ability to create change or to affect change in this area say, hey, let's look at this again and see whether or not we can fix some of the things. We may not be able to fix everything, but let's fix what we can fix. Let's grab these low-hanging fruits and let's make this country better let's give some Bahamians some opportunities and let's see if we can improve something to better Bahamians.
The thing is, I've really noticed the area I work in. I am an ISPS consultant, ISPS specialist, ISPS everything, right? I conduct a port facility security officer training on an annual basis. So I know that we have plenty qualified
to do this.
And they still have foreigners doing these things. And I have to wonder if the people that set the rules in this country, the government policies, if these government entities are aware that government have policy against non-Bahamians working in the security industry or the maritime industry, transportation industry, that type of thing, you have to wonder, because you bring it up and it's like falling on deaf ears.
Well, people, we have public servants who serve in these various capacities, and they actually are the custodians of the laws and the things that the government's policies and the like, and if they can, if we don't have people who are willing to say, something, we're gonna stand up for justice, we're gonna stand up for something that's right, or we're gonna try to, while I'm here, I'm gonna try to fix this or repair that, then nothing changes, because the politicians they're there for 5 years, and they try to survive another 5 or whatever the case may be. But I don't know if every one of them have the same sort of commitment, the same sort of passion that these folks who've been in the industry, the career public servants and the like, that they have or ought to have.
Yeah, but the politicians move. We've been moving them every 5 years, but nobody moves the people that work in these departments, though. These are the people who know what's going on. These are the people who are supposed to be putting their foot down and getting or soliciting the politician to give them support. But I'm not sure they care.
People, we have a situation in this country, really and truly, where when we have a minister take office, the permanent secretaries and whatnot, some of them, they yield all their authority and all their decision making to the minister. I don't know if that's traditional or what, but certainly it's the wrong. If you want to have good continuity and things run right, certainly it's the wrong thing to do.
But I know from experience, when I was serving as deputy port controller, and Mr. Harvey Sweening, my senior, was the port controller, on many occasions we would be called to the minister's office, or certainly the PS office, to explain certain things. And every time you can quote from the act what is supporting your position because what happened is these people run to the politicians. I remember I got calls from, I could name them now, Brother Frank Watson, Mother Pratt. I got a call from Tennyson Wells. I got a call from Glennis Hannah Martin. I got a call from what's his name? Who's there? But it's a lot of people, the ministers of transport, from when I go on there until I leave BMA many years later, but 10 or 15 years later, I was getting calls on a routine basis. And once I could have showed them in the act where these things were law, I got full support. Because sometimes the ministers and them don't know the details of these acts. They're regulating so much different acts. Because you got road traffic, you got port department, you got airport sometimes, you got this one. And so they're not going to learn verbatim. It's the technocrats who've been doing these things all their career.
Yeah,
that's supposed
absolutely.
to be bringing these things to the attention of the politicians.
You're absolutely correct, but that cannot happen if you yield everything to the politician.
Well, that's the problem right now. The technocrats ain't trying to do
That's the
anything.
issue.
Okay, my brother. Anyway, you know, you got the final say. Our show is that time. We started at 5:05, so we're supposed to be stopping at 6:35. Although we had some issues in the beginning. We got over those issues, and now we're good to go. So next week, 5:05, we'll be live in a living color, kicking it.
And we must continue. This struggle continues, and I'm calling on every what word you use? Genuine.
Organic.
Every,
Organic Bahamian.
But to take up the mantle and let's see how we can build this country, because we have to do it together.
Well, if we don't do it for our offsprings and their offsprings, then it wouldn't be done, eh?
We're in trouble. We'll be in trouble. So together we stand, divided we fall, and I just I hope that we as Bahamians, we could collectively fix some of these small issues that we can fix to make our country better. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you for the call, my friend, and continue to take care of yourself.
Thank you.
Yes, that's my good friend Herb. As we close out on our show, I take this opportunity to give a shout out to my number one fan, Auntie May, up there in Freeport. Auntie May, that's my girl, 90 years and going strong. She got her 4 lovely daughters taking care of her, and the grandchildren, everybody taking care of Auntie May these days. Auntie May, good night to you, honey. You see, we bring the show a little earlier, so you ain't got drop sleep, be sleepy. We be bringing it to you early this time. I also would like to thank my good producer, the man of the hour and the man with all the power, Mr. Craig Gibson, for keeping us going tonight. And ladies and gentlemen, again, you're listening to Maritime Matters as we close. Our sponsors, Bahamas Maritime Connection, GBI Pilots, Bimini Pilots, and last sponsor would be One-on-One Pharmacy with the Freeport office being Island Care Pharmacy. And with that, I thank you, the listening audience, for being a part of our show and listening to our show. And as always, I say, Maritime Matters, out.
So I'm just gonna sit on a dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Sitting on a dock of
No credit, no problem. No cash, no problem.